The hood, Mona Lisa, break a nigga into pieces. Had to X some cheesy niggas out my circle like a pizza. I'm way too exclusive. I don't shop on Insta boutiques, all them little clothes.
Hello, hello, hello. You have reached Blackberry the Stallion. Hello, hello, hello. You have reached Blackberry the Stallion. How y'all doing out there today? You know what? I nicknamed myself the Ghetto Pastor. And the reason because I said that because I have a little hood in me. Well, I have a lot of hood in me. And then having a PhD, and I am also an ordained minister. So, you know, that's why from this point on, say I'm either the hood pastor or the ghetto pastor, whichever one, because I tend to preach a lot when I'm speaking and when I'm talking and when I'm interviewing. So I gave myself that little nickname. So if you hear me mention that in my comment or whatever, just understand it's all good. I am qualified to be listed as a pastor minister. And I am hood, and I do have a little ghetto in me. So that means that I'm not, I am about that life, okay? Well, how y'all doing today? It's a great day. It's a beautiful day. We're going to talk briefly about a interview that I watched on yesterday. And it was actually a live interview with Martin Luther King. And, with so much technology going on, I was wondering if that was actually him speaking. If that was actually his voice and his lips and we saw him talking. And it was. He did an interview. And it was a nice interview. And I don't know why, I have never saw a video or, with Martin Luther King and doing an interview. And I have to really go back and research a lot of his messages and the interview. But the weirdest thing that I got from this video, and it's not weird, but it just tells you how how life repeats itself. And even back, when Martin Luther King was fighting for rights, and they was doing a boycotting and all this stuff. Dr. King talked about the bus, and how he talked about Rosa Parks situation on the bus, and he talked about how black people used to have to, when they get on the bus, the first 12 seats was unavailable, and how black people used to have to pay on the front of the bus and then go around and get entered through the back of the bus. And it was just so funny how things were, and we don't know. Well, I didn't know the measure of the situation. It's deep. And so also Dr. King was saying that he was like, the bus boycott lasts almost 300 and something days. And he said they stood down. They stayed down for this boycott because they wanted change with the bus system with the white people. Because he said that sometimes the seats would be empty and black people still packed, standing on the bus, standing up, and they weren't able to sit down, and no one was even in the seat. They just weren't able to sit down. Rosa Parks was the first Negro woman to say, hey, she just got off work. She was tired. She's sitting in them seats. and she refused to get up. And she went to jail, and that's when the boycott took place. But my thing is, you know, so with this protesting going on, you know, it's like it's recycling. Like, it's like nothing is new up under the sun. And if we don't push for change, and if we don't stand for something, we will still and continuously fall for anything. And then the interviewer asked Dr. King, he said, do you see change after the boycotting and the marching and all that? He said, do you see change? And he said, yeah. He said, I saw some change. You know, it have come a long way. He mentioned the time that he was in downtown Atlanta at a coffee shop, quote unquote. I'm not sure if he said a coffee shop, but it was some kind of sandwich shop. And I don't know why it put me into the mind of the sandwich shop my mom used to take me when I was like 6 years old in downtown Atlanta. But when he was speaking, that's the picture, that's the image that I thought about. And he said that this white woman came up to him and slapped him very hard on the face and said, "You the nigger that hit me." And Dr. King said he was just shocked. He was like, this a grown white woman. And he said that he didn't retaliate. He wouldn't dare hit a white person back. He knew he had that much sense at a young age. He said, but he went to tell his mother, and the lady was gone. And it's just so sad, you know, some of the experiences. And then the interviewer he asked him, he says, that when you first start demonstrating nonviolence? He said, no, that's not my first nonviolent situation. He said, but I had common sense not to say nothing or hit a white woman back as a young black boy, 6 years old. And he said he probably wouldn't even be here today. And then but I tell you, you know, even with that comment, you know, and listening at Dr. King, as he was talking, his message is so powerful even right today. He was like, growing up, his parents, you know, had instilled these qualities and morals in him. You know, and that's why I say it's important to us as parents to make sure that even if you feel that you're the worst person, because I'm a little special at times, I can say, but my kids are not. My oldest daughter, she is nothing like me. Like, I am so hood, but I made sure that my kids were taught better than I was and experienced a lot of more etiquette in areas than I experienced. So my oldest daughter is over 30, and she's and if you would talk to her, she know nothing about the ghetto. Okay, she know nothing about the ghetto, nothing about the hood, because I did not. When I knew better, I did better. So I mean, my mom and grandparents didn't, and I had like a rich grandfather because he worked for the railroad, and also he was military. So, you know, my granddaddy had property, like 3 different properties, you know, back in the 70s. So, in land. So my grandfather was well off, and you know, and so fortunately I didn't have to experience, you know, never staying in a project or the ghetto. My grandfather always bought houses and stuff for for us to stay in. And my mother was a single parent, so she stayed with my grandfather. My grandfather was like a daddy to me, you know, because my mom had me at a young age. So my grandfather was like dad to me. So we always was able to stay, you know, in a nice neighborhood. So that just goes back to show and tell that it starts off with what you instill in your kids. And then I had a great grandmother, and we called her Granny. And Granny was a church going, praying, shouting lady. Okay, so those were my roots. That's where I come from. That's what's inside of me, and that's what's inside of my mom and her sisters and brothers. Because I was about to start preaching, but those are the things that's inside of the family. And I'm not going deep into my religion, because I don't want this to be based on one denomination or one religion. So I would just say, God told Abraham that he'll bless his children and his children. So my thing is, whatever your root is in your life, it's not only the root for you in your lifetime, but it's the root for you and your offspring, your children, your children. So make sure you sow good roots, that you plant a good seed. You know what I'm saying? When you're creating your garden, your life. Okay? And that's what Martin Luther King did. And we can look from his wife, Coretta Scott. I'm going to discuss some things about her that Dr. Martin Luther King said. And also, I'm going to talk about his children, so you can see the seed that was sown in their life. And it's very funny that no, it's not funny, but it's an eye opener. And just to hear some of the things that Dr. King was saying. Also, they as Dr. King, did he have almost a life-death situation where people have threatened his life, and by him taking, you know, a leadership position. And I didn't know that that's not something that he raised his hand to be. But at that time, the African Americans, or the black people, whatever want to have you, they needed a leader. And Dr. King was well-spoken, very educated. He joined a black coalition organization, and he spoke at some of the functions, which pushed him up in leadership. And many are called, few are chosen. And that puts him up in leadership. And the guy said, well, did you get lonely up there sometime? He said, of course. He said, did you fear? You know, was you ever scared? He said, yes, he was scared. And, you know, he said, yeah and no. But for the most part, he admit, yeah. And it's okay to fear. You know, it's okay to fear. Because, I mean, it's not just the white people that's trying to hurt you, but you got your own kind that's trying to hurt you. And Martin Luther King said he had wrote a book, and he was doing a book signing. And while he was sitting there at the table, an African American woman came up and said, is you Dr. King? And he said, yeah. And said the woman stabbed him. stabbed him in a place where he had to go get surgery, and he liked to die. You know, and he was sick for a long while, you know, from that. He liked to die. And again, this wasn't a white person. This was a black woman. You know, so it's crazy. You know how you be out there and you be trying to stand and fight for justice and equity and for your culture, and it be your culture that's trying to kill you. You know, so that is deep. And let's move on. And the man asked him, was he, you know, did he fear anything, and have he have any death threats or anything? And he said yes. Flags was burned on his lawn. Several threats was made against him and his family. He had to move the kids in Coretta and hide them out. And he said, but Coretta, my Lord, Coretta, this is a great description of a strong black woman. He said Coretta was so strong that she let the kids stay in hiding, but Coretta would come back home and do the things she needed to do for the kids and Dr. King, and then she'd go back with the kids. But she wasn't letting nobody stop her from coming to her home. You better go, Coretta. You better go, Coretta. And Dr. King said that Coretta was so involved and believed so deeply in the movement that when he would tell her to stay back, once he get to the arena or whatever, he said he'll see Coretta there. And he said he would just smile. He said because she was so deep and rooted in what was going on, and she was so upholding change in the African Americans community. The man asked Dr. King also, you know, it's plenty other countries and places that you could have lived and had no problem with segregation and discrimination. And he said, so why did you choose to stay in America? And Dr. King said, because I was born an American. And he said, I love American, and I love it. He says people in America that I love. And he said, and it was time for a change for America. And he said it was time for a new operational system. It was time for a new system in America. And that's what they was marching and protesting and boycotting for the change in America. And he said a lot of changes were made. And it was, the interview was just all that to me. It was just all that to me. And I would suggest and I would recommend for you guys to go back and view some of the videos of Dr. King, because what's going on today, it can help us move forward. And when I say that, and when I say us, I mean a people as a whole. And first of all, let me clear this up and make this very clear at all times. I'm not a racist and I'm not prejudiced. I love all people. I treat people with respect that treats me with respect, okay? I have white friends and I have tons of black ones. So I'm not a racist, and I would not put down anybody nationality. I will not place or put black people like we so superior over another nationality. That's not what my channel is for. My channel is to educate, bring knowledge, and just talk general to influence and motivate my audience. Okay, I don't want to ever offend anyone, because again, I love everyone, my black and white, Asian, Mexican, whoever. I think that I don't judge people by the color of their skin. I judge people by their character. Okay, I judge people by their personality. I judge people by how they treat me and others. Okay, and with judging them, I still think that everybody have a right to change. So I would never just scratch anybody off and say, oh, they're done. No, I still believe that as the days comes, as a new day spring forth, that it's an opportunity for all of us to make a change. Okay, so I'm glad I got that cleared up, because I'm not with the race stuff. And getting back to Dr. King's interview, Dr. King was a live peacemaker. He did everything, you know, in a non-violent way. And you know, every time I hear his voice or just sit and listen to him, I am saddened. And you know, because it's like he's a part of my family. So it's like I'm sad, but then, you know, I know he's in a better place. So it's like mixed emotions. But for the most part, I could understand greatly why people followed him. And it's very understandable. So with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, I recommend you to go watch some of Dr. King interviews, his speeches, and you know, I'm not going to even say I hope that you would learn something. You will learn something, because the speeches and the interviews are so powerful, even for this time such as this. Even for a time such as this. Again, keep your head up. Keep your head up. And if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Keep your head up. Okay? You guys have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.